Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. When you get a minute, join my Facebook group, Movie Review Mom, where you can get more information about movies and fun things and meet lots of other people who are in love with movies like I am. All right, today, and be sure and subscribe and ring the bell. Thanks. Today, the movie that I'm reviewing is called The Secrets We Keep. This movie is rated R. It's an hour and 37 minutes, and it's actually currently in movie theaters. So I don't know if you feel comfortable going into theaters or not yet because we're still in the middle of this pandemic. But the good news is that studios are trying to get into theaters and then quickly putting it onto streaming. So you won't have to wait too long for this movie if you don't feel comfortable going in theaters. And believe me, I totally understand that. Now, you're probably saying, wait a minute, normally she says what the rating is. Well, I know I was trying to keep you on here a little bit longer because I know some of you scoot off the minute I tell you my grade, but you have to give me a chance to explain why I give the movie the grade that I do. So the grade that I'm giving this movie is a B minus. So I'm going to give you an overview of what I thought and then go into some themes, tips for parents, because it is a rated R movie. And then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, which is what gave it this final score. So first of all, in a nutshell, this movie is set in Anytown, USA, somewhere in the late 1950s. We have a vague timeline of that these events occurred 15 years after World War II, but not exactly at the end of World War II, so it's a little fuzzy. But I think that the movie displays well enough that you get immediately into that time and the surroundings. They actually do a really good job with that, with costuming and cars and all of that kind of stuff. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a dramatic thriller, and it takes a look at some of the atrocities that were committed during World War II and the haunting effect that those memories have on people who are trying to move on with their lives. So the movie is directed by Yuval Adler, and he also had his hand in writing the screenplay with Ryan Covington. Now, did they rip off the story from another source? Well, some people are saying yes, because the movie is extremely similar to another movie called Death and the Maiden, which was based on a play by Ariel Dorfman. So if you haven't seen that other movie, which was from many years ago, then you'll think that this movie is somewhat fresh, and you'll definitely feel the story's powerful themes. So what are the themes in the movie? Well, memories, truth versus deception, secrets, of course, marriage, relationships, communication. That's an interesting element. Forgiveness versus revenge, doubt, along with the memories, World War II, Jews, and if you don't know your history, you might want to brush up a little bit about that. Um, Mistaken identity, closure, paranoia, and obsession. So those are all really interesting themes, and I think the movie handles them all for the most part really well. Now, some quick tips for parents. That is that there is some violence in this movie, dark topics and themes. There's some talk and some portrayal of a rape. You see a couple in bed with skin and, some blood and stuff like that. Now, some things that I really liked about the movie are, first of all, the cast is very strong. Numi Rapace is such an interesting actress. I've seen her in several other things, and I've liked her immediately. She has an accent and kind of an exotic look that allow her to play several different nationalities very believably. And so actually in this movie, she plays a Romanian, and she has a physicality about her that is also believable about when she plays action movies or does anything with action. Now, she has a very small frame, and in this movie, she's not supposed to be this athletic woman per se. And so she does do some things that you think, wait a minute, how could she do that? But because she has some muscle to her, you're like, well, okay, I guess she could. Anyway, she's intense and she's really, really great in this movie. I like her in everything I've seen her in. And speaking of Sweden, both she and Joel Kinnaman are both from Sweden, and they both starred together in a movie called Child 44, which also has some history behind that movie. It's well done. If you want to see that one, I recommend that one as well. Now, in this particular movie, I kind of thought Joel Kinnaman looked too young for his role, but that didn't take away from his performance. I thought he was very good. Chris Messina, I thought, was excellent in his role as Lewis, the husband who can't decide if his wife is delusional and paranoid or if she really is remembering the past correctly. And if so, should she seek retribution or forgiveness? Anyway, there are lots of layers on their marital relationship that I think are interesting. I thought the ending perfectly fit the title of the film, although I could see another direction that the ending could have gone on that would also have fit the title well. But even still, I thought the ending was really good. And I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I like how the movie keeps you guessing because you don't really know what the truth is. Even the flashbacks are hazy enough that you're like, wait, is it him? Is it not him? I don't know what. And so that's good because that adds all of the tension to the movie. The cinematography itself, I thought, was very good and reminded me a little bit of Alfred Hitchcock movies, where there's a little bit of mystery and intrigue and times gone by. The color palette was really great, and again, really set the stage for that period in time. As I mentioned, the flashbacks looked really ghostly, which I think is perfect and a great representation of how our memories really can haunt us and how our memories might not always be the truth because we have selective memory. Now, that's not a spoiler, I'm just making a statement. Now, there were some things I didn't like. Speaking of the flashbacks, they were hard to see. Sometimes they were blurry or they were fast moving, and you're like, wait, what's going on? I don't know. And partly that's intentionally, but other times I'm like, I don't know. What was I supposed to get out of that little clip? The storytelling itself and the pacing were a bit choppy. Some of the editing felt a little clunky. And I felt like generally more time needed to be spent on developing our love for the female protagonist, because otherwise we feel more concerned for the man who's being kidnapped, especially if we think that he's innocent and we don't know if he's innocent or guilty. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about her, see her. You do spend some time with a loving relationship with her and her husband in the beginning, but see more of her character, of who she is, the loving mother, and that kind of stuff before she starts doing things that you then believe are really out of her normal character because you're not quite sure. The tension is there. However, because the events are spread over a series of days, the tension gets broken up a little bit as different scenes take you out of the moment. And as opposed to the other movie, Death and the Maiden, where things are all happening right there and you really get wrapped up in the events in the moment. Anyway, if you haven't seen that first movie, I think you will enjoy this movie. And it's not anything I would say race out to the theaters to risk getting COVID. It'll be online soon enough and you'll be able to watch it there. And I think you will enjoy it. Another movie I recommend, in addition to Death and the Maiden, if you want to compare those two movies, is another movie with the same lead actress called Angel of Mine. And it's also intriguing. And again, I think she's fantastic. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for subscribing. Be safe, healthy, and kind out there. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.